I started working with artists back in 2019, and I must admit that I was very much like, I'm not interested in this, and I was not up for it whatsoever. The more I started really opening my eyes to it and how it can interpret collections in different ways and become more accessible for different audiences and really speak to different people in such wonderful ways, the more I became on board with it, and now everyone jokes about me being the one who's like bigger, more, brighter, more colourful.
But I think when we started, some of the team were a bit reticent. They were a bit like, why are we doing this? But we thought, we pushed on, we'll give it a go. And actually, what we've seen is that the staff that were most reticent at the beginning are actually the ones now who want to work with artists all the time. They're coming to us and saying, I want to do this, can we get someone to interpret this?
I've only been working with artists for a few years, but I can absolutely hand on heart say that it is my favourite bit of the job now. I've come a long way since being very negative about it all.
I've been doing a lot of commissions with North Lincolnshire Museum, and I've been kind of focusing on women's history. At the moment I'm working on a project called Margaret that looks at a 1960s housewife. So I've collated lots of kind of information from the community about how people felt, or women felt in particular, during that time. And then I've created this kind of film where there's a housewife, which is me. She kind of had a dream when she was younger. Being a housewife got in the way, and being a mother. And now she's kind of reevaluating her life and looking at other options.
I think it's just taking a static room and helping people to use their imagination to put a person in there, to build that general bigger local and social history picture, and to set people in a time period, but also to dig a little bit deeper, just to try and set the scene of what might be going on within a household and how the role of men and women have been, they were different then, they've evolved now, and maybe there's still a lot more that needs to be done as well. I do feel like artists just bring things to life in a much more creative and accessible way.
So it's all about putting that different lens on the collections, not doing the traditional interpretation that curators would necessarily do. And it's probably been one of the most successful strands for us in terms of the change it's made to our way of working, as well as to what audiences see when they come into our venues as well.
I was invited to come to the museum with a view to creating something in the space. Pretty much straight away, my two inspirations that really stood out were the fantastic photograph, which is big, of a big haystack. It's a fabulous structure. It's thatched at the top. And then on a different scale, upstairs in the museum, there are some woven, braided, plaited horse collars. And they're all made with sedge and grass and straw. They're remarkable objects, and I was thinking about how the animal would have felt in this collar, and with the help of Evelyn at the museum, was able to research how the collars work, where they were made, what they were made of. Yeah, the inspirations were strong really from the first day.
It's very new to me to work with an artist, and for me to say what I wanted exactly, I couldn't quite say what I would want. Laura looks at things differently. I've been working here for a while, and I look at the objects and I appreciate the objects as they are, but she's looked at them in a different way and created something to reflect that. So that's just nice to have a different view of the collection and the museum. I think what I've taken from it is that I've actually learned quite a lot about these things myself, because there's hundreds, maybe thousands of objects in this building alone that I don't know everything about. And once we started looking at the horse collars that were one of the things that inspired Laura, I didn't know that much about them either, and just the research through it. So that I really appreciated, that I know more about it because of Laura's interest in these objects.
As an artist, I've learned a lot. I've been given the chance to do something which is actually, for me and the way that I work, is quite experimental. That's actually a real gift for an artist, actually, to be trusted, to use a new material. So I'm coming away from the project with a wealth of knowledge, which is really vital.